Hey guys, what's going on? This is Cheney 180 and
Chamba.
796.
Machu.
J-Shot.
You're watching an all-new episode of Chatmigos.
Assemble!
Awesome. It's been a while. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done Chatmigos Assemble.
Feels long.
Yeah.
Break feels
It
long.
was last year, man.
Yeah, that was way last year. That's very true. Very true. This is a whole new year, a whole new month, a whole new deal. But before we get into all of that, J-Shot, how are you, sir?
Super good. I got a wonky ear, but
It
it's all good.
happens.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Machu, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I mean, I'm cold, but I'm good for now that I'm indoors.
All right.
Is it that cold
Yeah.
there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's cold.
Ooh.
It's like wind chill 19. It's like we're at, I think, right now.
Oh,
yeah.
no,
That's
no.
that's
no.
fun.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Fun's a word. But
Yeah.
fun's an F word. Sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could say
Yeah.
you could say that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mario, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm freezing too. It's not quite as cold, but it feels like it.
Man. Chamba, are you also cold?
No, it's warm here. I've got a fan on me. But it's that's how it is. It's good though. We're gonna talk some fun stuff today. Fun.
All right.
Hey, Cheney.
Indeed.
Cheney, how
I'm
cold
good.
is it by you? I always love this question. Go ahead.
Mhm.
Let me see. Let me check, actually. Let me look it up real quickly here. It is currently 50 degrees outside. It's freezing outside.
Freezing. Yeah. Make sure you get a light jacket. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta, it's horrible. I can't bear
Make sure
it.
you wear a long sleeve tee.
Mhm, mhm.
With your shorts. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
Pull your socks up.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, we've got a very special guest today. We've got the one and only Mr. Jesse Falcon. Welcome to the show, sir.
Gentlemen, what a treat. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I love the assemble. And the artwork on the show is so gorgeous. Who did the artwork for you guys?
I did it.
Oh,
Oh,
you,
Chamba.
dude, that's Chamba. It looks-
Yeah, thank you.
no.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's the man. He is
Right.
the man.
Thank you very much over here. I love it.
And so, for people who may not quite know who you are and what you do, you want to go ahead and break that down for us real quickly, sir?
Sure. My name is Jesse Falcon. I have worked for Marvel for just over 30 years. A little longer than that, actually. Officially, since about 91. And I'm a toy designer. I really buy, what I do for a living, but I've been there long enough that I oversee all the product development for Marvel and 20th globally for all of Disney. So I have the great pleasure to work with just about every toy company on the planet in my day job. But the reason I'm here today to talk to you all, which by the way, I'm happy to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. If you want to talk about Marvel Legends, which was a line that I got very lucky enough to have a hand in building 20 odd years ago at Toy Biz, and worked on all the other Toy Biz stuff with that crew. But I'm here today to talk about a really special toy project that my little brother and my brother from another mother and one of my best buds are all putting together, and I'm here to cheerlead for because I want this thing to go forward. It's called The Cursed Dead. It's on Kickstarter right now. You can find it on Kickstarter by looking up The Cursed Dead. I think it's the.cursed.dead.com.
Mhm.
You can find it on Insta. You can find it on Facebook. All the great socials, they have it. It's great. And what is the toy line? The guys that put this together came to me and they said, well, what if David Cronenberg, early Peter Jackson, and Sam Raimi, instead of making movies, made a toy line? And that was the pitch. It's kind of like a steeped in influence of these old classic horror movies and body horror movies. Did you all see? I got an award last night. Did you all see The Substance?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like
I loved it. Loved
it's
it.
a great movie, not for kids, but it's a
not
great
at all.
movie. And now I'm really excited because it's winning awards, and it's long overdue for movies like that to win awards, as you guys well know. Genre movies aren't just genre movies; they're great movies. Look at movies like Jaws, The Exorcist, Aliens, The Shining. Those movies never won any awards, but they should have. Long story short, that's what this toy line is inspired by, like classic horror, but it's characters that are telling their own story. And I know that the guys who developed this have a long story that they want to tell, which is why I'm here today to help promote it, to hopefully get your listeners to come and back it. And I just a couple, things I want to just state real quickly. If you get your pledges in early now, the team will get the thing funded and will be able to unlock stretch goals. They haven't really talked about what some of those stretch goals are because they don't want to put those out there without getting past those thresholds. And also, no one will get charged until Saturday, February the 1st at the end of the campaign. And if you do decide to back it, thank you so much. And we would also just ask, tell your friends about it and get other people to help and encourage them to help. We are about a week in, and we're at a nice threshold right now. So we've got some nice momentum. And I want to thank everybody, all you guys, for having me on to help promote this, because it's absolutely critical in order for this to get over the finish line, to talk to fellows like you about a line like this.
Heck yeah. That is a perfect pausing point here for us to check in with our wonderful Chatmigos here. And please allow me to check in with them. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to be talking a lot of Cursed Dead today. So stay tuned. We've got the wonderful Jesse Falcon here. And without further ado, hit that thumbs up, share with your friends, let them know what's going on. And let's hop into it here. We got Mark Rose, Bat Force Grumps is here, Zio Adams, Jimmy Seals, Making the Deals is in the house, Just at 45, Paul Morales, Ender Shadow, Playing with Myself. Who could that be? I wonder. Huh. What's up, Adam? We got Jay Fix is in the house, Bluff Forest Honesty, Hush Me it up. Thank you for dropping the duster. AD Guild is also in the house. Rick Something is here. We've got Fortress Madness, Machu Toy is here, Shell Presence, Justin B, Rick Jones is in the house. What is up, man? Panthro 504 is here, Stormfire Blizzard, Arcade's Revenge, Hushmigo in it up as well. Marcus Yee is here. Wingnut 323 is in the house. We've got Old Grumpy Nerd is here. Disavowed Action Figures, thank you for joining us today. Let's see. Hunter is in the house. What is up, Hunter? And we've got Power Turtle Buster is also here. Thank you for joining us. Shelf Presence, what is up, man? Shadowbird is here. And Marcus Yee. All right. Oh, no, my audio is funky.
It was for a little
You
bit.
seem to be back. Yeah, you seem to be back.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get into it here. Which would you prefer that I bring up, the IG or the Kickstarter, Jesse?
Let's start with the IG.
You got it.
Great.
So let me go ahead and pop that up.
Thank you so much, Shane.
And we are sharing now.
Yeah. So,
all right.
So the basic breakdown here is Phil Ramirez, who I had a great deal of luck one day back in like 1994 to have his portfolio land on my desk at Toy Biz. I gave him a call and I was like, "Hey, do you want to work on this line called X-Men 2099?" And I remember that line. and he did, and you know, back then, in order for me to review sculpts, like he had to take the actual sculpt, which was built at 2-up, wrap it up in bubble wrap, FedEx it to me. I would unwrap it, build it. And then everybody came over to my desk and we were all like, well, who did this? And I was like, this guy, Phil Ramirez. And so Phil and I got into long conversations every single day because Phil did not have enough arms for me because I needed him to grow more so that he could sculpt more. And Phil and I worked together and been buddies for a long, long time. And when he started talking about this, he designed this kind of skinny wraith-like body with the idea that we would incorporate new components to it. So it would go from the drinker, which is the kind of vampire component that you see here at the top, to Dr. Crane, which is like very much inspired by teleportation gone wrong. Or things of that nature. You know, these are all things that ownable components that are inspired by things that would seem familiar to people who have enjoyed genre storytelling for many years. Anyway, Phil designed this body, and I know that he and Adam worked really hard so that the articulation, the fidelity of the articulation could do stuff that you don't typically see, even with some of the really high-end stuff that you see in the marketplace. They wanted to really push beyond that because articulation's a big thing to those guys. And it was something that was a big thing to me when I made Marvel Legends, because I wanted to see the Marvel characters pose like they could pose in the comic books. And I actually remember when I got my test shot of the very first Spider-Man classic figures, it was Spider-Man and Venom. And I sat there in the office until about midnight. And I had like an old digital camera with the discs, with a floppy disk that you'd have to stick in. And I'm taking pictures and I'm putting the floppy disk in my computer and I'm blowing the pictures up. And I'm like, oh my God, there's something really cool about this. So many years later, Phil and Adam and Josh are now working on this line, and we're really excited about it. I think what they've done here is really, really cool and unique. And also, I've gotten a little peek into what they want to do in the future. And I think the white space that exists for these guys is to do stuff really over the top gruesome stuff with
Nice.
different types of plastics, different types of accessories that you wouldn't necessarily just use with a line like this. Yeah, so that's kind of the genesis for this coming up. And here, right here, is Dr. Crane, the character who has had a very bad day at the office. Dr. Scante. Boy, we love old science fiction, and that was like Dr. Scante was very much inspired by that. There's Crankle Claws, which Phil actually wrote a song for, and my brother. Here's another weird fact: my brother and Phil, my brother and Phil have had two different bands together. One was kind of like a stripped down alt rock band. It was about 15 years ago called Jack the Mad, and then they had another project called Marimachas, which is the two of them doing hip hop, and it's all pretty great music, I have to say. I'm a little bummed they've never asked me to do any solo work and or singing, but you know, it's fine. We'll get past that. Anyway, I highly encourage you guys to go to the YouTube site for thecurseddead.com and watch the music video for Crankle Claws. But as you're flipping through here, there's another one, Wicked Gordy, which is kind of inspired by Great Pumpkin type of situation here. Lots of different cool color variants, lots of different great demonic heads. I think the overall idea for this was, science fiction monsters versus demons from another world. So that's kind of the overall theme here. The Wendigo is another fun character there. That's got a lot of nice soft goods. So that's the range right there.
Yeah, they came out. I got to take some of the pictures and stuff. The video for the Crankle Claws stuff, and the sculpt on that skull for the Wendigo is absolutely insane. Like like when you like get it up close in hand and look at the fine details on it, it's absolutely stunning. Like it's just it in itself is like a piece of like pure art. It's amazing. Like Phil is insanely talented at what he does, man.
Well, Phil is insane. Let's just leave it there and put a pin in that right there. And luckily, he is also talented, and those two things go together. We were talking about this the other night. Last year, I don't know what started this, but last year, I was working with Phil on a bunch of the Marvel 5-inch figures for Toy Biz for many years, and then I don't know who brought it into the office. I don't know. We worked with a bunch of different interns who would bring weird stuff in. And I think it was one of our interns. It was talking about this video game that he picked up. He'd actually got it from Japan called Biohazard. And he was telling us about it. And it had just come out in the States. It's called Resident Evil. And I don't need to tell you guys what Resident Evil is, but I had never played a video game that scared me before. And I played this. And then this is a very odd, weird left turn of the story. My grandmother passed away. And I come from a big Italian family. I went back to Pennsylvania, and I was so obsessed with this game. I brought the entire system back, and all of my cousins and I almost missed the funeral processions because we had found a way to plug it into our hotel room, and we were in the room, the windows are blacked out. We're like freaking out. And I got back from that funeral, and I was like, "There's something really special about this." And I pursued Capcom. We got the grant of rights to make Resident Evil as a video game, as action figures. And I went back and I bought that entire line, and I went back and looked at some of the details. And Phil did most of the sculpting on that line. I think there's like maybe 2 or 3 figures and maybe some components that he didn't. But like, there's so much detail he put in. Like at that time, the OJ thing was happening, so the cop has a black glove in his back pocket.
Nice.
I remember that.
Weird stuff in that line. Anyway, I had so much fun working on that with Phil. I think when I was putting this, when I recollected that line, and I'm pointing to it because it's sitting over there, I would take pictures of it and send it to Phil, and I was like, "Hey, like this is so cool that you're doing this now because this is a great way for him to really articulate his own vision into something." And I'm so glad that you got to see some of those prototypes firsthand. As we talked about too before this show started, like. I've had I've been around people who've seen his stuff, the 2-ups, and like at shows, and they'll come and they're like, "Whoa, and then they'll walk away, and then they'll come back and go, well, I want to see this thing again. He's really good at what he does.
Yeah, exceptional. It's crazy. Like when people start to get these in hands, because obviously this thing's going to get funded, guys. We all know that. We all know that.
Listen, I from your lips to God's ears. That's why I'm here today. I really appreciate you guys offering me this platform to help promote this thing, because I would love for this to get funded. Look, there are a lot of the last 10 years. Listen. As I said at the top, there isn't a toy company in the world that I don't work with. Like a big toy company. The toy companies I don't work with are the ones I think that are doing like some really exceptional intellectual property development as toys, the way that we saw it when we were kids, right? Like when I was a kid, there was Sectars. I loved Sectars. That was a weird toy line. It never had a TV show, maybe a comic book. But like you've got the Four Horsemen. NEC is doing some of this stuff. There's a whole swath of different companies and individuals who are out there building their own narrative. And I'm going to say now, thank you, Adam. Appreciate that. Anyway, whenever I see stuff like this, to people having an opportunity to like articulate, pun intended, their own vision of like what a toy line could be or should be, I love that. I think that is something that should be supported. I feel like it's as much art as it is commerce. I think about the second generation of Micronauts. Not the Tomy Takara stuff that Mego bought and brought to the States, but the second generation that had all the monsters with the modular parts. Boy, that was such a cool thing when I was a kid. I love stuff like that, and I think it's so exciting that Bill's doing this and Adam and Josh are doing this, and I really appreciate your support in helping us get the word out.
Heck yeah. Let's see real quickly here, gentlemen. Machu, Mario, J-Shot, Chamba, do you have any questions for Jesse?
I just wanted to say Jesse brings up this point that Machu and I seem to talk about daily. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Marvel and like Mafex is killing it, even some of the legends, but it feels like, especially now with like, third party or independent companies making their own stuff, like I know nothing about their properties but they look cool and they look fun to play with. And I gravitate towards that now. And it's more exciting, right? Like you got two things, well, more than two things, but the two things that are really selling this for me is like, well, yes, you got creatures that you can, hit like some sort of nostalgia, like heartstring for you, right? But what's lacking in my collection is like just universal bad guys that my waifus can beat up or whatever, Forget about the waifu thing for a little bit. But
yes,
like this thing is universal in that sense. Like even if you don't, resonate with like their intended designs, you can put them as bad guys for your collection or good guys, whatever.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, I've always been, I was always that kid that I lived in Michigan. So, we had 3 months of summer and I would be inside during the hot months because there would on Saturday afternoons, because they'd have creature feature, double feature, and there would always be like a monster movie and then a kaiju movie. And I'm like, how would I go outside and miss all this, glory? Phil is similarly broken in the head like I am. So we talk about this all the time. In fact, when he comes to my house, that's almost all we do is talk about monster movies and children's entertainment, dark children's entertainment. But yeah, I listen, I love what the Four Horsemen have done. They built an absolute empire over there. And I'm just so inspired for this team to go out and have this opportunity to make something that looks and feels wholly unique in the marketplace.
Agreed. Any questions, gentlemen?
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple of things I want to jump back to. I love that you referenced old school Peter Jackson, and I immediately went to Meet the Feebles, which is great because that's a throwback and a half. So I love that. And just kind of just kicking back to the detail, I know that Cheney, when you showed us the Wendigo sculpt where you were taking the pictures of it, that skull really is impressive. I mean, it's really something special. But yeah, I agree. I mean, like there's so much to be said about these, and the fact that the articulation's there. I love what Mario's saying too about these. I think like I had mentioned when you were on our show, Jesse, which thank you by the way for coming on with us, and thank you for coming. Thank you for coming on our show first. Of the Wednesday shows, thank you for coming on our show first. It's Paul. I don't know if you know that. I know that you're saying Phil, but it's not. It's Pedro. I can screw up his name.
Let's call that.
Yeah. But yeah, I know like the Drinker 3-pack felt like a no-brainer to me, right? Like they're just they're so universal, and so the fact that you can use them for anything, and I don't have any waifus yet, but I'm sure my waifus, when I do get them, will beat them up too.
Soon enough, J-Shot.
I know. I'm excited.
So J-Shot, I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
Early Toy Biz days, we used to have a showroom in the old toy building, which is right adjacent to the Flatiron building in New York City. And there used to be like two buildings on between 25th Street, 23rd, 24th Street. And there was like a sky bridge. So every February at Toy Fair, it was so freezing outside as it is now. You'd have to take the sky bridge back and forth. And we would always try to sneak into like, McFarlane's showroom. And they were like, hey, if we let us in ours, we'll come to yours. And every year after Toy Fair, it was one of these things that was like Hell Week, right? Where it was like you literally would be up for 3 days straight, and like all your stuff is getting there, and you're gluing it together. And sometimes, you just got a grant of rights for stuff, and you're literally sculpting stuff in the back to make a presentation for a buyer. It was madness. It was madness, but it was the best kind of madness. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
and to celebrate every year after Toy Fair, and I'm talking about like 1994, 95, 96. We would always get together at the Toy Biz showroom because there was a projector, and I want you to how special a projector was back then. And it was also like this whole showroom. There was no natural light in here, so it was perfect like movie theater. And we get in there, and we'd have a few snacks and drinks, and we would always watch Dead Alive. And Dead Alive, if you have not seen it, is a Peter Jackson masterpiece. I think it's actually better than The Evil Dead. Which it was weird that Sam Raimi and Peter Jackson were kind of doing the same thing, but Peter Jackson's down in New Zealand and Sam Raimi's in Lansing, Michigan. And then they both got they both were like, oh wait, I'm going to do really, I'm going to become the biggest director in the world with Spider-Man and Lord of the Rings. So years later, Toy Biz is in the running to get Lord of the Rings, and I was actually working on a different division at Toy Biz at that time, and I said, if we get this, I want to come back and work on the product development, because I lived in England for a little while when I was a kid, and Tolkien was part of the curriculum. It was very special to me. So we developed this entire pitch. We brought it to New Line, and Mattel and Hasbro both pitched, and they both threw like twice the amount of money at this offer that we did. But New Line was like, Toy Biz's pitch is so creative, and they're going to take such a special attention to detail. We got it. So I got to go down to New Zealand for 3 months while they were shooting Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
And part of the pitch was, we're going to hire this company called Gentle Giant that does laser scanning. Nobody had ever done laser scanning in a big way for action figures before. When we had done the X-Men, the first X-Men movie, we actually flew Phil up to Toronto and had him sit down next to Ian McKellen, like sculpting him next to him.
Wow.
But we had this new technology. So I'm down there for 3 months. And Richard Taylor, who was Peter Jackson's right-hand man, who is now a knighted Sir Richard Taylor, who has like a million Oscars. He set me up in this they had an old paint factory, which is where they were shooting this inside. And they put me in this little room, and I literally had like a thing that looked like one of the telepods from The Fly, but you had the thing, and it would go around your head, and it was kind of like intimidating for many of the actors that sat in it. And Richard he's like, tell me about this technology. We walked him through what we were doing. And I was like, Richard, I just want to tell you, I'm such a big fan of yours. I just saw Forgotten Silver, but I love Meet the Feebles. And he was like, oh my God, I didn't know you'd been seeing these films. He's like, come with me. And I go to this old part of this warehouse, and he's like, come on. And I go up this ladder, up the stairs, and in this attic, are all the puppets from Meet the Feebles, the baby from Dead Alive, and the plane from Forgotten
That's
Silver. And I was like, oh my
amazing.
God, this is incredible. It was such an incredible experience.
That's incredible.
That's nuts.
It was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy serendipity too that we were like, hey, let's watch this insane movie where this priest comes out and fights zombies and says, "Oh, I kick ass for the Lord." Guys, if you have not seen this movie, and by the way, it is a hard R. If you are a child, do not watch this movie. But I highly recommend that you watch it. It's very, very funny.
Not to take this down a path that we probably didn't expect this to go, but the fact that you brought up Remy and Jackson competing, like when I was watching them, I never thought of them competing that way, right? Because it's like, I picked them up a little bit later. Like I never thought of it, but you're right. Like they're competing and they both have such different styles, but they were both doing horror Remy makes the camera a character, right? Like it gives you a POV, so makes it a horror character, but Jackson just it immerses you in a different way. It's really interesting.
I say competing. I think that
I know you mean
very much in awe of each other's work because they both were struggling, trying to make movies, as young men in a world where like they're like, what are you making horror? Get out of here with that stuff,
Right.
It's like what I said at the top about the substance. It's like you've got films like the ones I mentioned, The Exorcist, Jaws, The Shining, all masterpieces, absolute masterpieces. And I don't think those films ever got, like Hollywood recognition in the way that The Substance is. So maybe we should have a retroactive Oscar for genres and past. Let's do it.
Let's start it up.
Done. Done and done.
Well,
right.
Yeah. Well, and I'll steal a page from Andrews. Instead of an Oscar, we'll call it a succubus, and we'll give out little statues of
I love it.
There you go.
Great.
Sign me up.
Yeah. Chamba, you have any questions?
No real questions. I just like the fact that even I know you guys mentioned the guys here mentioned it's like they could just be villains for whatever characters that already exist that you have, but the fact that you can like as a base for customization as well, because of the articulation, because of the form, you can do a lot with it too. So even if you're not gonna get it for the purpose of what they are, there's more purpose for it too. You know what I mean? Especially these days, like I know, Jesse mentioned Four Horsemen with like everything's modular there, so you can always do so much with that too. So I'd imagine it'd be the same with this. I think it's
that is cool. If there is more form factors, more silhouettes that they could build in the future, that there would be a modularity to it.
Absolutely.
I will tell you this: there's so with the drinker, one of the things that was very important to Adam is those bio cards that you guys have at the beginning of the show. The data, the information about the character. That's also very important to Phil, Josh, and Adam about this line. And I will say that one of the things that they're building, not necessarily for this wave, but an idea that they had was, I don't know if you guys know this, but in 1915 in Belgium during World War I, there was the largest man-made explosion ever before Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And for 2 years, the Allied troops dug a series of 22 holes in the ground, deep underground, right at the kind of like line of war between the Allies and the Germans. And they filled these compartments with explosives for 2 years. And one Christmas night, or it was one winter night, they blew it up. This is a true story. And 19 of those 22 things exploded. The thought about the mythos of the vampire for this line is that these are creatures that are much older than humankind, and that when that happened in World War I, they woke one of them up, and it started to stalk the troops on both sides throughout the tunnels. These are the types of stories that this team's trying to bring to help supplement the background characters. So there's a lot of thought gone into not just what these things look like, how they're built, but also like what are the stories that we're telling.
That's fun. Yeah,
no, I read the the write up for the drinker, and I found it pretty interesting myself. I had tried to kind of like, when I took a picture, make it look kind of like dust was like coming off of it a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
to
That picture's
try and
amazing, by the way. Thank you. So that is just so cool, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I read that and I was like, oh yeah, okay. So these guys are coming up out of the ground and stuff, or out of the catacombs, or that's what's so cool about these is like you can go with the story, or you can like maybe even like begin with the story and kind of have fun on your own with it. Like, you know, especially with like toy photography and stuff like that, you can have like a lot of fun, or even a display in your home, you know. You can set up a display in your own house with these things and add to the displays that you have. It's crazy. Like there's so much that could be done here.
Well, I'm glad you think that. Thank you.
Indeed. I'm just kind of slowly going through the Kickstarter here, going over all the photos and everything.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back up to the top here, and let's go ahead and check where we're at. Currently at 52. Goal is 175. So, yeah, all of your pledges and whatnot are on the right side over here, and you can, you know, kind of combine that however you see fit. But one of the cool things about this is, you know, we've got the articulation, and a majority of us, if not all of us, I want to say, are articulation junkies. We love having the ability to kind of like change and move the figure, you know, in any which way that you see fit. I got to mess around with the 3D prototype for the drinker, and there's a whole bunch of, I mean, you could see it right here, but there's a whole bunch of articulation packed in there that, you know, these things are going to move it exceptionally well. I'm very excited about it.
That's a big goal for us. You know, honestly, like there probably isn't a person that fetishizes articulation more than me. I'm sure many people at Hasbro will bemoan that, and other companies as well. But there's something really fun about it. You know, I always loved. I think I have one up here. It's the old wooden drawing model. You know,
Okay.
There's something, you know, just really unique about being able to do that with the human form. And as I was saying before, when we got those test shots in of the very first, it weren't even Marvel Legends, it was a Spider-Man Classic wave. I was like, oh, there's something really very special about having a character that looks like this and can do all these things. So that was a critical component here for this team to make sure that they are doing something that pushes the envelope.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. To piggyback real quick there, I remember when I first saw those Spider-Man classics in Toys R Us, and I was like, wait a minute, what do we got going on here? Like previously they had put out, you know, a highly articulated Spider-Man in the Toy Biz line, the 5-inch ones, and I had that one already, but I saw the classics one, and I was like, oh wow, this is next level right here. Like this is, you know, they really did something. And then to grow from that to like, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's inspired now that just came from that Spider-Man Classics line, which eventually turned into Marvel Legends, which, you know, spawned a whole bunch of other things. It's crazy to look back and see where all this stuff is gone.
It is crazy. I just hit my official 30th year last year, and there were a couple friends of mine who were like, "Hey, look at what's happened in 30 years." So it was nice to look back at that. I love that this is a thing and that people dig this and that it's still going. You know, and that this is an opportunity now for people to design in, you know, kind of a more artistic space with. So
Sure.
Heck yeah. So I think right now probably wouldn't be a bad time to kind of like, I know I've mentioned it before, but you know, I you know, my whole introduction into this was in 2019 at Designer Con. You know, I was
Yes.
walking around Designer Con with my wife, and we were looking for a pin. And I looked over and I saw this grayscale werewolf, and I went, "Whoa, what is that? Like, what is that?" And so I started talking to this guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you know, we're working on this and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh wow." And he's like, "Oh, you know, come on over here." And he introduced me to you, and we're talking to you and whatnot, and we're talking about the Cursed Dead stuff and everything. And then, you know, we're just chatting it up, and my wife's like, "I kind of wanted to go get the pin," and like you said, "Go on, man. It's all good. Go with your wife. Go do that. We'll be here. We're not going anywhere." And I was like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah.
So we go do that. We come back, and I'm talking to the guy about the werewolf again. Lo and behold, that guy is, you know, Adam playing with myself. So we've been, I've been waiting to see this moment for a very long time. It's very great to finally see this come into fruition, and you know, the people are able to get behind it now, and hopefully add all these to their collection. It's exciting. It's a really exciting thing that's been, you know, it's been a while now. You know, it's finally time. It's great to see.
It has been, and honestly, like it's funny. I was talking to Phil, Josh, and Adam about this because I remember being obviously at that Designer Con, and like afterwards going, "Guys, you got to get moving on this. Let's go. You guys got to get this out the door." And then cut to 5 years later, the pandemic hits, and I'll be honest with you, I actually think that the way that this all shook out with those guys having the opportunity to just kind of like put this out there and like kind of slowly add to it online and build awareness that this is a thing and that this is coming. Has kind of helped us build the momentum that they have today. So I'm glad that you have that nice memory. I have that too. That's, you know, at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun. I'm a little bummed that Designer Con is in Vegas these days, but I understand why. I really liked it when it was in Pasadena.
Yes, Pasadena was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it actually Vegas reminded me a lot more of Pasadena. Because I went to Vegas,
okay, cool.
Or this
Great.
last year.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. Cool.
Yeah, it'll probably be bigger next year, but it's it had that like kind of like smaller vibe, unlike Anaheim.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's see. Do we have any more questions from anybody on the panel, Machu?
I don't have any questions. I did back the 3-pack of the drinkers.
Nice.
As we were going over it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I messed around with it at Designer Con. We just kept posing it at the table at High School Creations table, because like people kept walking by and like hitting the table, it would fall over, and then like, oh, we'll mess it around. But this figure like hits like all the poses you would want for like a vampire. Like it crouches down, and then like if you want to make it if you would want to make it a zombie or something like that body has so much potential with the articulation. Also because of the range, because it's a skinnier frame.
Yeah.
But the
soft goods on it. Soft goods on it
goods.
actually won't affect it. You know what I mean? Because it's the smaller frame as well.
Exactly. So I'm looking
kind of
forward to it.
Kind of like Judge Death, you know, when he would look like before he got in the shower, you know. Although I don't think Judge
That's
Death
a vision.
more of a bath demon, you know, like baths.
All right. Well, if you, what was that?
I said that way he doesn't get his helmet rusty.
Oh yes. I was going to go ahead and open up some questions to the chat, if you're okay with that, Jesse.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Chamba, you want to set a time? Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Cheney, while you're pulling that, I was gonna ask Jesse. I know that you casually mentioned that you didn't want to release the unlocks yet. Is there anything you can mention about the unlocks or tease about the unlocks? Or
well, I actually did. I teased a great. I did tease the story of one of the unlocks. There was a character, and I'll be honest with you, I've seen so many of these different iterations because these guys went nuts on all the different things that they wanted to do. This one is called the Hull Monitor. It's the vampire from World War I that is woken up by this massive explosion, and it's very grumpy because these things only come out of the ground when there's enough blood. when big wars happen, they can come up and feed without being bothered, and then go back underground after they've been fed. When this thing comes out, it starts to like take a gas mask and different, accoutrement of the warriors that fought in World War I, and that's if you can imagine what that would look like. That one's called the Hall Monitor. That's so I did tease the story a little bit more, but I'm going to leave the big teasing to Adam, because I know that he's building the Congo.
He is a big tease.
He's also someone who likes to take a bath so he doesn't get a rusty helmet.
Yes. All right. Chamba, you want to set a timer for 10 minutes? 10 minutes sound good?
Yep.
Okay. Let me know when you start it, and I will go ahead and throw go in the chat.
Okay. We're good.
Okay. And since Rick Jones asked this, has anyone talked to Big Bad Toy Store yet about these?
That's a great Adam question, Rick Jones.
It is.
I love that question, and I love Big Bad Toy Store. In fact, we were talking about this incredible Bandai line that I noticed on Big Bad Toy Store before we started, called "The Diversity of Life on Earth."
Yeah,
such a cool line.
Do you see that crocodile? That thing is nuts.
We were talking about it, but yeah, it's actually pretty old too, so it's brilliant, that one.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes.
So that's kind of a sideways. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
We can wait for Thursday on that one. Yeah.
Adam will be here on Thursday. You can ask him about that. I'm sure he'll probably want to talk about this. Maybe, I don't know. It's possible that he may want to talk about Kirstead stuff on Thursday. So
I got a question for Jesse, since we're waiting. Jesse, earlier in the stream, you mentioned that this line could get really gory. What do you mean by that?
Well, here's the thing. There's a lot of stuff that happens in movies and TV shows and video games that, when a toy developer, like a big toy developer, like all the ones we've been talking about, that are household names, they'll get involved with that. Even when Toy Biz did Resident Evil, I was actually surprised at what we got away with. And frankly, any toy company that was trying to do Resident Evil now, you'd have to be a really boutique company and sell exclusively online, which means that you're not, the objectivity of most toy companies is to get into the venture to make money. It's a business. And when you do that, it's very difficult to do stuff that's really gnarly, very gory, and play with materials, different types of materials and I think that's white space for this line, that they could do stuff here that would be usable in all the other places that you would see stuff. That wouldn't have that stuff included with it.
I know what you mean. I think
real
Machu
quickly here. Go ahead.
I'm actually still looking at the Kickstarter.
I think Machu's been wanting some really gory type of accessories and stuff. He's Machu's a sick man at times. So,
well, what people may or may not know here is on the on the wrist of the Dr. Crane here is actually a hand. It's kind of like around his.
It is truly like something that has, it's halfway baked.
It's good body horror.
Definitely mutating. And again, another plug to The Substance. Go and see that movie.
Go watch it. It's great.
Doesn't disappoint.
All right, we've got Man Beast Boy here. Any alternate head sculpts or faceplate swapping being talked about?
Faceplate swapping, no. Alternate head sculpts, 100% yes. There are a couple different components here with inside of the Kickstarter, and I would encourage you to go to thechrisdad.com on Kickstarter and just scroll through, and you can see the different types of swappable components that you get with various different offers.
Alrighty. Rick Jones says, if I see a Fishman Gill type character, I'll be happy. Okay.
Oh, listen, that guys, if this gets funded, a light tease is in the air.
Oh. There you go.
Stormfire Blizzard says, are there any Native Americans in the line, or are there any coming?
That is a great question. And I think that I would go back and look at what's happening with the Wendigo. There's a bunch of different versions of story of the Wendigo, and they all come from Native American folklore. And if you look at folklore worldwide, there are a bunch of different kind of universal spooky stories that ancient cultures tell themselves, and a lot of them have to do with not eating human flesh. Vampirism is one, zombification is another one, and the Native Americans had this, the Wendigo, and that's what that does tie into a Native American folklore. And the Native American folklore is a little different than some of the other kinds of folklore, and I think that this team has kind of distilled all of those ideas and come up with their own unique take on it. But this is a person who is trapped in a curse, i.e., the cursed dead, and he's trapped there because he has succumbed to consuming human flesh.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, I think out of all of them, the Wendigo is probably my favorite so far. Just, I mean, for the sheer fact that you could put that deer skull on top of there it's amazing. It came out great.
I like the Gordy. Gordy's cool.
The Gordy, yeah, Gordy has been growing on me.
Yeah. Gordy was a little punk kid in the 1920s. He used to smash pumpkins for fun, and then he smashed one he should not have.
Damn you, Billy Corgan. Oh.
Yeah, no, these are a lot of fun, and it's cool because like there's like a lot of like ideas that you can kind of go wild with this stuff. I mean, even with Gordy, there's a lot of potential there to do a lot of different things and different displays. Or
it's like a jackal body, you know?
Yeah, it's also it also, like, if you've got a Tim Burton display come Halloween, I think this would fit nice.
Oh yeah,
the Pumpkin King. Yeah.
Indeed. We've got Winger Lose says, hello, amigos. Hello. And he says, where's Lago? And why is Jesse Falcon doing Adam's job?
He had to do Adam's job today. You know, Adam's on a beach somewhere. Enjoying the Santa Ana winds. These wind sailors.
Probably a nude beach.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. You know, this is a horror toy line after all. He's coming up with new ideas.
Right. I'm sure he's got a Speedo on. He doesn't want to get a rusty helmet. So,
yeah. God. Yeah. Unfortunately, Lago couldn't make it today. I believe he's sick. He's under the weather. So that's why Lago isn't here. We have Zio Adams. Will it be possible to get these figures elsewhere after the campaign is over, or is it just made to order and exclusive to Kickstarter?
Zio, right now, it'll be on Kickstarter. I'm sure there are conversations that are happening if this gets funded that this could go on in other potential platforms. None of that stuff is 100% nailed to the floor yet for these guys. So if you like it, I would really ask that you support it here so that these guys can get over the finish line. Not just so that this could get done, but also. And I really can't I'm so excited about this. Like, I've kind of seen some of the stuff that they want to do next. And I'm not talking about unlockable stuff for this particular Kickstarter, but some of the other silhouettes, some of the other form factors, the bodies that they want to bring. Like, for instance, the werewolf, that's gone through several refinements now. It's still not done, but there's other bodies that they want to do. There's other ideas that they have. And I want to go on this journey. And I want you guys to come on this journey too, because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Indeed. I know. Here, let me read Stormfire's comment real quick. I'm not sure if it's just my tribe, but we have an issue when it comes to owls and the W. I would love to see anything else that's not those two things. Okay.
Makes sense.
I know they mentioned it in the chat earlier about like a succubus or a female character. Is that anything that's potentially on the table that you may or may not know of?
It's only been talked about at this point. There's been no there's some ideas, but I mean, listen, I think the appetite of these three guys is very large for what they see this good for the vision that they have. I think that they would like very much for this to go on for a long time. And with that, there's a lot to unpack there. So,
for sure.
I think, Katie, when you were telling the story, you had mentioned a werewolf. Is that still in play?
That's what he was talking about a minute ago.
Okay.
He said it had gone through a bunch of different revisions and whatnot.
Got it.
Yeah,
that's what it
that werewolf is great, and it's funny because still people will ask me about that werewolf sometimes. Like I'll be in the Discord voice chat sometimes, and you're like, "What's up with that werewolf?" I'm like, "Well, werewolf's not on this one, but we'll just have to wait and see what's up with that werewolf." Believe me, I want the werewolf as much as anybody else.
Yeah, I'm a big werewolf nut. I used to. There was a book I had when
10 minutes over.
Okay. Oh, 10 minutes over. Okay, great. I was a book I used to read when I was a kid, and it kind of taught you how to be a werewolf. And I was like, man, all I need is a full moon, a cauldron, and a wolf's pelt. And I never had the wolf's pelt, so it never worked out for me.
That's too bad.
So close.
All right. Well, we are almost out of time here. Jesse, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come on here and talk Cursed Dead with us. I really appreciate it. And you're more than welcome to come back any other time you like.
Thank you. Guys, thank you so much. This was awesome. What a fun time. You guys are amazing. I'm excited to see you guys in person at the various cons and conventions throughout the year. And thank you again so much for letting me come on here and talk about the Cursed Dead. Go to thecurseddead.com and check it out. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate everything you've done here tonight. So have a great night, and thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Cheers.
You know what, Jesse? You are a rock star, dude. I enjoyed your stories, man.
The stories. I'm sure they're loaded too. Heaps of stories.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
honestly
hang out. We'll go have an adult beverage, and I'll tell you.
Now we're talking. All right.
Now it's okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I could sit here for another like 2 hours and just listen to his stories. It'd be great. Love it. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. J-Shot, how does everybody stay up to date with you?
Stay up to date. You threw it off. You threw me off.
Yeah.
Threw me off my game. You threw me off my game. Anybody can keep up with me. I am not fast. You can catch me here every Tuesday on Chatmigos Assemble, and you can catch me every Wednesday with that guy on Between Two Sentinels. And this week, I think what we got the Ramen Toys on tomorrow night, right? So come hang out with us. And we'll have Cursed Dead on next week. So
all right.
Jesse, hopefully you come back.
More stories.
Oh, yeah. I can't next week.
I'll
be overseas, but I'll be back the week after that.
All right, that's okay, Jesse. I'm only going to take it personally. It's all right.
Okay. I'll bring you a nice gift.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Machu, how do we keep up with you, sir?
Well, just like J-Shot said, tomorrow we'll have Ramen Toy on, and it's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Thursday night, it's going to be on Enablers for Top 5 Plus 2, right?
Nice.
Don't call it a top 7.
Don't call it a top 7. All my Hot Wheels are going to be
nice. Nice.
Heck yeah. Perfect. All right. Mario, how do we keep up with you?
You can follow me on 796 Studios on Instagram, TikTok, Vero, not Twitch. Catch me on the first Tuesday of every week on Chatmigos Assemble. Catch me on the first Thursday, actually second Thursday, which is this Thursday on Toy Garage Channel, Unboxing Thursday, Enablers Edition, where we go over our top 5 plus 2. Don't call it a top 7. Peace.
All right. And Chamba, how do we keep up with you, sir?
You could follow me at the Chamba on Instagram and Twitter, on the Toy Migos Discord. Chatmigos Assemble on Tuesday, then on Dolls Thursday.
All right. And you can follow me, Chenny180, on Instagram. Check out the Chamigos Instagram, Chamigos Facebook, Chamigos Facebook group, Chamigos Discord. Check out the Jada Street Fighter Facebook group. And I've got a new video dropping tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But with all that being said, once again, Jesse, thank you. Thank you so much to the Chatmigos. You guys could have been anywhere else, but you decided to be here, and we thank you for that. As always, I'm Cheney180.
Chamba.
I'm 796.
I'm Machu.
J-Shot.
I'm Jesse Falcon.
And Chatmigos.
Oh,
Oh,